All right, you're on.
Well, welcome everyone. I'm so glad that you are on. This is our team Zoom and welcome. My name is Jennifer Jobson and I am from Charlotte, North Carolina. And I'm really excited to have a dear friend of mine on. He just joined our team with New You Life, and he has been he and his wife have been really good friends of mine for a number of years. In fact, when we go on vacation in Myrtle Beach, which is where he and his lovely wife Jody reside, we occasionally get together and have dinner, and it's just been really nice to have a strong, just solid friendship no matter what the circumstances are in any of our lives. But I'd like to welcome tonight all of you guys, and I'd like to introduce my friend, my very dear friend, Dr. Stan Gravely. And he is, he's just a tremendous guy in so many different ways. What I like about him is he speaks the truth. What I like about him is he is holistic in everything that he does. He and his wife are nutritarians, and he and his wife also were in a fitness kind of contest, which he might tell you about. And just really, they actually both took first place, right, Stan?
Yeah, first place.
First place, first time doing it.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. So he really knows a lot about nutrition and wellness. So I'll give you kind of his formal bio here. So Dr. Stan is a certified behavior consultant, a certified vitalist in natural healing. He's also a certified life science practitioner. Dr. Stan is also a counselor and a minister, which I love about him because he really speaks truth and life into people. He has been an alternative health practitioner and an herbalist, as well as a Christian counselor for a number of years. He's been married to his beautiful, absolutely lovely wife, who I adore, Jody, for over 39 years. They have 3 children and 5 grandchildren, and they work together now as wellness entrepreneurs. He's a dear friend of mine. We used to be in the same company together. So welcome to our team, and welcome to our team training, Dr. Stan.
Well, thank you. It's a privilege to be here. We're excited to be with you guys. You know, we have been interested in health and nutrition for over 25 years. I've been helping people for over 25 years now to connect the dots spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, in every way, as you alluded to live a holistic, healthy life. That's what I believe that we have been programmed for. We got interested in health and nutrition first and foremost. It started out, Jody's father, when he was in his early 50s, passed away with liver pancreatic cancer. She kind of got scared and was wondering, was she going to get it? Was I going to die early? And she got to thinking about those kinds of things, and she started getting interested in some health and nutrition. And I'd always struggled with weight, gain weight, lose weight, gain weight. I'm one of those people who can walk down a grocery aisle and gain weight. And so I was always interested in those things. So we started our journey, her trying to figure out, how to keep from getting cancer, me trying to learn how to lose weight and keep it off. And long story short, after 25 years of trial and error, trying this, doing this, being wellness entrepreneurs and working in this industry, being mentored by some of the best of the best. Jack LaLanne was a friend of mine, which I'll cherish forever. Some of the early pioneers that you wouldn't know of, but I do, that, people that lived on up into their 80s and 90s, and even some of my mentors that lived to be over 100. One of my mentors died at 116 years old, Dr. Walker. I had another preacher that lived to be, I think he was 108 when he died. And I began to want to know, what were these guys doing? Because, when they were in their 70s and 80s, Dr. Paul Bragg, one of my mentors, he died behind a skiing boat. He was in a skiing boat accident when he was 96 years old, was hospitalized, had some complications, and dying at age 96. Now, what a way to go. I mean, and so my motto has been for many years now is I want to die with my boots on, not a diaper. And so that made me want to know what I needed to do to stay fit and healthy, because I'm 60 years old, and a few years ago, we moved to the beach, and after being a caretaker for several years with parents that were dying with cancer, we moved to the beach, and I gained a bunch of my weight back. because, you know, after 4 or 5 years of stress, we just came down to the beach and just had a great time, but gained a bunch of the weight. And I knew I needed to get back in shape, and I hired myself a personal trainer, Miss Universe of '07, Marcia Prince. And she was a plant-based trainer, which was the way that I wanted to go. And so we started working on the health and nutrition all over again. And my goal was to be in the best shape that I could be by the time I was age 60. I hit that goal at age 59. Jody and I were encouraged to compete. I won the my age division, 50 plus bodybuilders competition, IFBB champion. And Jody entered into the bikini contest and she had to compete with the 40 plus, and she won at age 58. So, you know, looking good and feeling good inside and out has been something we have been very much interested in for many, many years, which is why we're interested in things like HGH, why we're interested in health and nutrition and fitness. Because, you know, I want to live a long, healthy, productive life. I want to die with my boots on, not a diaper on. And so you got to know what to do to be able to do that. Now, we know that HGH is indeed I call it the fountain of youth hormone. You know, this is the hormone that keeps us looking good and feeling good inside and out. And HGH, as we know, is produced by the pituitary gland. And when we're younger, this keeps us growing through our adolescent years. You know, when we become teenagers, you know, our hormones are just at that peak performance. They're raging. You know, we have so much energy. We can get away with so much. But then about age 25 or so, everybody's different between your lifestyle and how you take care of yourself. What happens to those HGH levels? They start to decline year by year by year. And we then begin to age. And then, of course, all the rest of the body begins to age, especially when the HGH production starts going down. Now, the pituitary gland in herbal school, you know, we were taught this is the master gland. Not only does it, you know, produce, you know, HGH, but it also regulates all the rest of the glandulars of the body and the hormonal system. So it regulates and stimulates all the systems of the body that help. I mean, this is what regulates your body composition, body fluids, muscle and bone growth, sugar and fat metabolism, healing, how you heal or how you don't heal, hair, skin, and nail production, your emotional stability, exercise tolerance, flexibility, memory, eyesight, energy, emotions, sexual function, immunity, sleep, brain function, heart function, and regulates how fast we age or we don't age. And as I said, you know, as we get older, these HGH levels are going to start going down, and it's inevitable. I mean, you know, we are destined to eventually leave this world and die. Nobody's going to get away without that death sentence, so to speak. But we can slow that process down, and we can even reverse it. You know, even after we kind of came to the beach, you know, and didn't really take care of ourselves for a few years. If some of y'all ever go to my profile and see some of my before and after pictures, you can see I reversed aged about 10 to 15 years very easily by taking care of myself. And HGH was a part of what I was doing at that time, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. But HGH has gotten a lot of attention these days. I mean, if you turn the TV on, you see the commercials, if you read fitness magazines like I do, you're going to see people all the time advertising HGH supplements, you know, the youth hormone, you know, we're going to, you take this supplement and we're going to nourish and stimulate the pituitary gland, which in many cases it will. But let me give you a little breakdown of some of these herbal supplements just real quick, because you can go the herbal route. And I used to go the herbal route with HGH. You know, I would do what I could to stimulate my pituitary gland. But the particular, most all of the products, everything that's going to be in common with these products are going to be certain ingredients like glutamine, creatine, orthonon, L-dopa, and glycine. And all these supplements can push on the pituitary gland and stimulate HGH. But the challenge, and this is what the scientific research tells us, is that the stimulation only lasts for 2 to 4 hours. So in other words, if you wanted to continue to take these herbs, you'd have to take them every 2 to 4 hours in order to keep the pituitary gland stimulated. And then the bad news is that even if you did do that, with time, it is going to become immune to the herbs. You know, your body will burn out with it. It will adjust. Just like any other thing that if you start doing more and more and more of it, the body will adjust, and then eventually it becomes kind of neutral to it, and it no longer works. And so that's one way you could go, but it's not a consistent way. It's not a very practical way. It would get very expensive, and again, it's very short-lived. In fact, we used to sell a supplement for HGH that would work, but then what I would find, people could use it right before they work out. They seem to get a little stimulation and help, but then with time, it would quit working because it wasn't a long-term product. It was just a short-term solution. Next, you can go the synthetic route. Synthetic HGH. You can go to bioidenticals. And this was developed right around 1985, and it was approved by the FDA for specific uses in children for things like Turner syndrome, Prader-Willi syndrome, kidney disease, and for children that were born small for their gestational age, to help them, you know, to keep up with their other people at their same age. In adults, it was approved by the FDA for short-term bowel syndrome, rare pituitary tumors, and for helping HIV/AIDS patients, you know, because their muscles and their tendons, all their bodies were deteriorating. And so it was approved for that, but the FDA has never approved the bioidenticals or the synthetic forms that people are using today for anti-aging. And the reason why that is that these types of HGH medications that are synthetic, bioidentical, have certain side effects that people need to be aware of. And so if you start taking these types of HGH supplements, they can cause nerve damage, muscle damage, joint pain, swelling, edema, carpal tunnel syndrome, numbness and tingling of the skin, high cholesterol levels, increased risk of diabetes, liver damage, enlarged breast in men, and it can contribute to the increase. If a person had a tumor, it can actually make the tumor bigger. So you wouldn't want to go, you know, HGH could be possibly something that somebody would need to use under medical care, but these types of medications have to be supervised because blood work has to be done. They have to be able to monitor and see what is going on in the body, because they can be helpful, but they can also be dangerous. And they're sold in so many different ways, but just to cut to the chase, the only way that HGH can be effectively used in the body, you cannot take it any way other than through an injection for it to do any good. So in other words, if somebody is on a HGH supplement, I mean not supplement, but medication, it has to be injected. All other forms are not available to the body to absorb. We'll probably get into that a little bit when we get into the homeopathic version, because there's different ways that you can take homeopathic products, but there's better ways to get that homeopathic medicine into your body than there are other ways. You know, so homeopathic medicine is the belief system that the body can cure itself. That's what I love about homeopathy. And those who practice it only use tiny amounts of substances that will stimulate the healing process, push on what it is in the body to kind of make it wake up and start working again. It was developed in the 1700s in Germany, and it's real popular in European countries, but America, not quite as popular as it is in Europe, but it's been catching on over the years. A lot of people use it more now than they ever have, because when we first got into this 25 years ago, I mean, good grief, you know, we were doing, you know, all this holistic stuff, and we were the weirdos on the block, you know, and now we're just the weirdos, you know, in the neighborhood, because there's more and more of us out there that are taking care of our health, more of us that are interested in anti-aging, you know, more things of this sort. And so the system believes that in very small dosages, you can treat an illness or maybe something in the body like HGH that is not functioning well by triggering the body's natural mechanisms to produce the HGH, or to boost the immune system and to wake it up and start performing. This is why homeopathic doctors that are called homeopaths weaken these ingredients. And, you know, I noticed on a post, it was a week or so ago, somebody said, oh, wow, you know, there's not enough of this. You've done weakened it, you've watered it down, you've condensed it, you've condensed it, you've condensed it, and you condensed it. And that's what excites me about homeopathic medicine, is that you're distilling it down to the very energetic essence that creates the dynamic in the body for something like HGH to be produced, or for the immune system to be stimulated. And that's why I love this type of medicine, because it's the power that taps into what I call the quantum energy of the universe. You know, oh boy, Dr. Stanstone went off his rocker. But this is something that I began to discover many, many, many years ago when I began studying energy, you know. And, you know, one of the things when I used to teach in church, you know, I was teaching this on a spiritual level. There's a dynamic going on in the universe that we don't see, do we? In fact, if you look at anything in life, whether it's a tabletop, a chair, a computer, whatever it is, did you know that that thing is 99.99% space? In other words, if you took the electrons and the atoms and they're all swirling around, you know, there's space between those atoms and electrons, correct? And so when you are dealing with something like a chair, or whether you're dealing with something like HGH or any other type of herbals that can be homeopathically reduced, what the homeopathic energy is doing is capturing the energy that was contained within the substance without having to bring the substance into the product. And this might be deep for some of you, maybe to think about, but if you think about it, we are mostly space. Your body is 99.9999% space. And in this space is where intelligence is being swapped back and forth all the time. There's energy going back and forth. That's why it's been proven with quantum physics, like if you walk into a room and you could x-ray all the atoms in the room, they would all start to go in sync with each other. You know, and, you know, the funny thing about it, I always use this as an illustration because it's funny, and I don't know why I'm going to use it, but I'm going to use it. But I used to have a bunch of girls and that I raised. You know, I had my wife, and then my daughter, and then my daughter-in-law moved in with us. And within the first month or two, what happened? All of them started having the same menstrual cycle on the same week, because there was an energy there. That's why when you get into a group energy, whether you're getting into food energy or anything else, there becomes something that happens in that space. And this is the space where 99.9% of what God is doing in this universe happens. And so when you, in homeopathic medicine, we're tapping in to the space, the 99.99%, which is where the most of the power and the essence and the energy of where everything is, if that makes sense to you. So we're distilling it down into the place to where we can get the benefit of the substance that we are basically breaking down into this homeopathic medicine, so that you have the energy there without all the rest of the stuff all the way around it. And that's why it works so well, and why it takes out the impurities. It takes out the risk. It takes out all the risk factors that if you were taking HGH synthetically full dosed in an injection, putting it into your body, then you can have negative side effects. But if you take that same synthetic HGH, synthesize it, and then using homeopathic medicine, breaking it down, distilling it, watering it down, bringing the essence down to where you're capturing the 99.99% of the energy of the 1% that looked like that was the most of it, but it was actually the space that we were going after. So in my professional opinion, when I began to understand homeopathic medicine, it is harnessing the power of space, the energy that is being transferred all the time. through the air, the universe, it's just like the microwaves and the cell phones. That's energy all the time that's being transferred. There's energy being transferred between us all the time. There's that spiritual energy, atomic energy, and that's what we're tapping into. I like to think of homeopathic energy as tapping into the atomic energy of that which we are wanting to induce into our bodies. So I hope that doesn't sound too crazy for some of you, but it's plumb exciting for me, because when I began to really study homeopathic, I understood, like you're going to trigger this, if you get a red onion, makes your eyes water, and it can detoxify and cleanse and boost the immune system. So what if we could distill all that water crying stuff out of it and distill it down to a point to where we could just insert it into the body in these minuscule amounts, capture the energy and essence of it, push on the immune system, and get an immune effect into the body? Wouldn't that be much better than cutting onions all day, or eating onions all day, or smelling like garlic all day? That's what homeopathic medicine does for us. So, and then you get into all the different types of ways that homeopathic medicine uses things. There's pellets, liquids, creams, gels, tablets, you name it. But all of these types of mechanisms can hinder the absorption of that which you're trying to enter into the body. Because even if you're putting it into your mouth, which probably spray would be the second best, because you're at least getting it into the membranes of the mouth and the tongue and trying to get it more readily absorbed, but you still have the enzymes in the mouth that will tear down a lot of that stuff so that it isn't completely 100%, because the digestive system is designed to what? Break down. It's designed to, just as soon as you put it in your mouth, the enzymes in your mouth begin to start the digestive process that stimulates the juices in the stomach. So if you're taking pills and tablets, by the time you chew it up and get it enzymatically broke down and then get it into your stomach, and then the acids in there, by the time, that's why most food supplements don't work. While a lot of especially, that's another subject, but most supplements don't work because the body doesn't recognize it as food. And if the body doesn't recognize it as food, it will not utilize it as food. And you can be taking some of the best supplements in the world, but if they're not whole food, food-based, food source, they're not going to be absorbed into the body the way that they should be. And so that's why the New Life Somaderm gel is only transdermal, which is exciting, because then it makes it pretty much close to 100% absorbable into the body, depending on, other factors that can be going on inside of your body. And so it's in the body, within 5 to 10 minutes. It's quickly absorbed. You get the benefit of the hormone, the energy of the hormone, the HGH, and you don't have the negative side effects. You don't have to worry about the negative side effects that you would get with an injection. You don't have to worry about the negative side effects, even if you were taking it orally, or worrying about spending a lot of money, on a product that you'd have to, take 3 or 4 times a day to get the benefit that eventually is going to burn out your system and is not effectively going to work anymore for you. And so that's why the gel is a pretty ingenious idea, because I've used actually homeopathic HGH in the spray in different ways, but this definitely is the best way to get it into your body, to get it into the fat, to get it into the blood cells, so that it is actually stimulating. And that's why so many people with this gel are getting so much great results, because you're getting the very essence of HGH that is being delivered transdermally in the quickest, fastest available way that there is. And that is my presentation, Jennifer.
I love it. I love
Quick,
it.
fast, and I hope I got to the point.
You did, man. You just booked right through it. That's what I love about you. It's like you get to it, you teach us so much, and you're quick at doing it. So, I love the fact that you said too, Stan, that, the transdermal way of getting HGH into you is really the best way, because it's delivered so quickly into the blood system. And like you said, those other ways are either harmful or you're just not getting enough. Let me ask you this. Okay, so you've been using the product now for how long? A couple weeks?
Yeah, I would say a couple of weeks.
And you said that you had used another product prior, another HGH
Right.
product.
Yeah, I was doing a spray.
Okay. And can you tell the difference between the two?
You know, yes, I can. You know, I'm still 2 weeks in, and I was fighting one of these, uh, a bug. The first time I've had a little bug in 25 years, which has kind of affected me a little bit. But you know, one of the things I have noticed is I am sleeping better than I was before.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. I mean, you know, because for someone like myself, you know, that works out, exercises, very strict, you know, has used supplementation and has done things like I have, you're not going to probably see as quick results. But I have noticed, as I was thinking about that today, you know, how I have been sleeping a lot better through the night, you know, where because over the last few years, you know, I've used some things like melatonin and different things to help with sleep. But I noticed this morning when I woke up, uh, I had been taking melatonin, but I didn't take it last night. I forgot to. And I woke up this morning just solid 8 hours of sleep.
I love that. I love that. That I think I think we could all probably agree is that that's the first thing that a lot of people see is the benefit of the really healthy REM sleep. And people talk
Right.
about having the dreams. And I mean, you probably could totally concur with this, that when you sleep well, your body goes into a healing process. When you sleep well and get back that circadian cycle for your body, it can begin to balance the hormones. And I remember talking to Rachel when I first started, and I said, you know what? If nothing else happened but this amazing, deep, restful, I don't have to get up in the middle of the night to go pee, sleep, I would still stay on this product
Right.
because I know what good solid sleep does for your overall health. And I know when you don't get enough sleep, the hormone cortisol goes up, which equals belly fat. So I think, you know, as we progress through this the product, because it is a 6-month protocol. And when people get started, it's not like, I'm going to try this. It's got to be, well, you're going to try it. You need to try it for 6 months because that's when you're going to see that
Absolutely. Yeah.
result. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, what are your thoughts too on, you know, there's the adrenal support and the thyroid support as well. Do you have any thoughts that you could share about the importance of adrenal health and thyroid health and what Somaderm can do for people?
Well, I mean, you're talking about hormones. You're getting into IGF levels with the thyroid, different things that basically keep you from aging. It regulates blood sugar, all these things, you know, because when you're, you know, like your adrenals, of course, have a lot to do with stress. A lot of that, people, you know, that start getting fatigued and wore out, the stress of the day, you know, their adrenals are wearing out. And a lot of times when you start nourishing those adrenals and get them back to working properly, you know, that's when you start managing stress, which will even help with sleep and different things like that. But particularly the thyroid. Now, you know, a lot of people talk about thyroid these days. One of the things, you know, that I was studying under Jeffrey Life years ago, who was an anti-aging doctor. I think I might have saw him on somebody posted it on one of the pages. But Dr. Jeffrey Life is in his 80s now, and he started when he was about 58 years old, won the Body for Life competition, and has been running an anti-aging clinic for years now. And I've learned a whole lot from him. But when you're talking about thyroid, has so much to do with your IGF levels, which can affect your sexual libido, believe it or not, your how your testosterone, estrogen production. It is so much going on in this glandular system that if you know, it's just if that pituitary gland and all the rest of the glandulars of the body are not functioning at maximum proficiency, this is when everything's going to get out of whack. You know, and this is where even autoimmune diseases start coming in. You know, where you know I firmly believe you know that autoimmune diseases are just diseases that doctors try to identify, but it's kind of like the term schizophrenia. What they're saying is we don't know what's wrong with you, and so that's why it's so important to have our whole glandular system balanced and nourished, because if you don't, it will start mimicking diseases symptoms. And the next thing you know, you're going to be going to the doctor and they're going to be trying to prescribe drugs for symptoms rather than trying to get to the root cause.
Right.
And they can run tests all day long, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's inflammation. It's all kinds of things going on inside the body. So yes, I mean, at this point, if your hormonal system's out of balance, your immune system's out of balance, everything's out of balance, and you're just going to be whacked out.
Yeah.
You're going to be weirded out. You're not going to feel good. You're going to start feeling old. You're going to have the mental fog and the thyroid and all these hormonal things. They all work together.
Yeah.
I remember when I went to my first anti-aging doctor 2 years ago, the first thing he wanted to do before he said, well, we're going to check this level and this level. But he says, like, for instance, he says, well, I don't know whether you need testosterone or not. But he said, before I would ever put you on it, I'm going to check your thyroid. I'm going to check your IGF levels, because it might not have a thing to do with your testosterone levels. It could be your hormonal levels are being affected through other glands, which means that even though you're showing you could be showing low T. Mine was average for my age, and I didn't, I don't particularly like average, but, I was average for my age. But, he was just connecting all those dots, which made all the lights go off in my brain to make me realize this doctor knew what he was talking about, is that how important it is for those glandulars to be in balance and working properly, because just because you're low here, the reason why you might be low is not because your ovaries aren't functioning. It's because your thyroid's not functioning, or your IGF levels, because your blood sugar levels are not functioning well. You've got a pancreatic, liver dysfunction that can be affecting your estrogen levels or your T levels. It's crazy stuff, but the glandulars and hormones are all about the big picture of getting what I call an homeostasis.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that you said that, because a couple of people put in chat here, I don't know if you can read it or not, but Catherine Harris put, I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune disease.
Yes, it is.
In November, started the gel in October. This gel has literally brought me back to life. I felt like I was dying, and this gel turned it all around. And then another gal, I'm sorry if I don't say your name right, Mayeha. I'm totally botching that, I'm sure. She says 3 different blood works from 3 different doctors showed early menopause for me last year, and she's 38. And she was like, what? And she had no symptoms. So, it is amazing knowing that this one single product that's, number one, easy to use. I mean, you simply pump it on and rub it on. It doesn't get any easier than that. Can feed your body and take everything that you just taught us and bring it all back into homeostasis, into balance. And again, knowing that this is a 6-month protocol, it takes time, depending on your age, like how quickly, like you said, you're going to respond. But I love that the fact that you said you saw the sleep. I think most of us can agree on the sleep, as I said earlier. And then you mentioned too about, when I was taking notes, about how nourishing the adrenals helps with stress. And I do notice that in a lot of our posts, a lot of people are talking about how Somaderm is helping them with stress. So that answers it from what you were saying with the adrenal.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because stress basically is your whatever, the chemicals that are being thrown into your body are overworking your glandulars. And again, when you're nourishing the pituitary gland, which is stimulating the rest of the glandulars to work and function at their optimum level, then you start getting everything functioning back to what it should have been, 20 years ago, when everything began to shut down, not communicate, and not function together in homeostasis. And then they kind of go off on their own, and that's how cancer is formed in the body. That's why they call it a free radical. It starts to try to survive on its own, and then the next thing you know, it turns into something terrible.
It is amazing too, because sometimes it starts with something so minute, and when your body gets out of balance, and it does through life, aging, stress, car accidents, sicknesses, it begins to just set off a whole chain of reactions, which, you know, we can see through cancer and Hashimoto's and all kinds of autoimmune diseases. I wanted to ask anybody, if there's any other questions I'm kind of reading through, please put them in the chat because we're getting ready to wrap it up. And I really wanted to give you an opportunity because honestly, Dr. Stan is brilliant, and he really walks the talk, and he really lives out, he and Jody truly live out an amazing healthy lifestyle. So he is a fantastic go-to if you have any other questions that you want to put in the chat. I know he covered a lot, and he covered it so thoroughly you might not have it. You did such a great job. So I'm going to give you guys like 30 more seconds. If you have anything else that you'd like to add to the chat, question-wise or a story, then please let us know. You know, we know that this product has over 40 benefits, and I think one of the biggest things that we can do is go out and talk to people about the gel. When we hear people say, I'm stressed, I'm tired, I'm not feeling good, my immune system isn't where it should be, I feel so old for my age, reach out and tell them about the gel, because we do have one product that helps with over 40 things. Like amazing, absolutely amazing. So Rachel says, thank you, Dr. Stan. Libido. Oh yeah, should we even talk libido? That is a wonderful, wonderful thing to have that going again. That's really, really good. Yeah, so guys, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate you guys tuning in. Please make sure you share this with your teams, and feel free to share it with anybody who might be interested in finding more out about the gel. And of course, if you're watching the recording, please get back to the person who shared this recording with you to find out more or to get started on the gel. So Dr. Stan, thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Tell Miss Jody we thank you for lending you to us for 30 plus minutes. And guys, remember, our team Zooms are every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Central Time. You can do the math backwards all the way to the West Coast time. So God bless you guys. Thank you so much. And we will see you next Tuesday at 9 p.m.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Dr. Stan.